Einstein said, "I want to know the mind of God. The rest is details." Somebody asked what that means here. And of course, the mind of God is consciousness. Consciousness is the light that emanates from the... Consciousness is not God in the same way that the light of the sun is not the sun. And yet, on the other hand, the light of the sun is one with the sun. But you couldn't quite say this light, this is the sun. In the same way, your consciousness, which is not yours, the essence of who you are, the light of the world, is an emanation from the source of all life. So I use the analogy of the sun. And there's a good reason why in many ancient civilizations the sun was regarded as God, because it's a continuous outpouring of life energy. And so in the sense-perceived universe, the closest analogy one can find is you can point to the sun and say that is like continuous emanation. All life derives from it. And the life, the consciousness in things is that. So God realization is the realization of I am that I am, your I am identity. And that's God speaking, but it would also be you speaking. So it doesn't transform the ray of the sun into the sun, but it makes the ray of the sunlight aware of its origin and its home and what it is still connected with and always remains connected with. At some point we need to transcend the naive beliefs in what God is as a controlling figure that created the world a long time ago, and then he walked away and lost interest, or maybe he's still interested, but somehow things are not going well. Or he's condemning people for being dysfunctional, and then, of course, there are many arguments you could raise against that kind of view of God, and that's the traditional argument of people who don't believe in God, who say, if there were a God who controls everything and supposedly loves people, or maybe doesn't love, but he's controlling things, then if there is a God, how would he allow all that suffering and evil to happen in this world? Therefore, they say, there is no God. Or they say, therefore, God is morally inferior to us, because we can see the injustices and the terrible things that happen in this world, and we are touched by it, but God isn't. Therefore, God is some inferior creature that created the world out of malevolent intent. That was actually a belief held by many of the Gnostics, ancient Christian and pre-Christian group of people who otherwise had also some interesting teachings, but they believed that the entire physical universe was the creation of a malevolent deity, an inferior deity. I can see why, in some way, but it's not the case. So there isn't a controlling figure there that is... So we need to go beyond that image, that anthropomorphic image of a paternal authority figure, and realize that God is the life in all beings. God manifests as the life in all beings. God is the consciousness in you, is the emanation of God. God lives through you. Everything that happens in humans, God is suffering in humans in a way, you could say. That's what the Christian teaching means. So it is a gradual emergence of consciousness. And the suffering is more like a dreamlike thing to God. It's like a bad dream, as in the process of emergence of that God consciousness into this dimension. So human beings are not autonomous entities. It's not you, your consciousness, his consciousness, her consciousness. Every human is a temporary expression of the one consciousness.